Good morning, Michigan. A very pleasant Monday to you. A pure Michigan Monday. In fact, it's Michael Patrick Shields heard all across the state of Michigan. And the big news this morning, former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee, considered to be one of the favorites for the Republican nomination, polling very well, said Saturday he will not seek the Republican presidential nomination. He's going to stick with his lucrative career as a television and radio personality. And, quote, all the factors say go, but my heart says no, says Huckabee, who won the Iowa caucuses in 2008. And Dan Perot is with us on the other end of our line. He ran the Lamar Alexander for President campaign, was Governor Engler's chief of staff, and now with the American Justice Partnership. Good morning to you, sir.
Hey, good morning, Michael Patrick. How are you?
Well, first off, I guess, are you surprised Mike Huckabee decided not to run?
I would have been surprised had he run.
Really? Why?
Yes. Running a campaign is one of the most arduous things you can ever do. He did it. He performed well. He came up way short. You said he was one of several in the polls that was showing, particularly well, but he wasn't doing overwhelmingly well with anybody. He had a lucrative career. He has a lucrative career now with Fox News. And to see him walk away from that and enter into this fray again would have been a little bit like, you mentioned my old boss, Lamar Alexander, coming back and running a second time. Didn't do well. Mm-hmm. And I think that he would not have done well. I think it was a smart choice on his behalf.
Really? So it's interesting, though, because if you looked at I don't know if the polls matter at this stage, but if you look at the list of favorites, he was always in the top three.
Yeah, but he wasn't top one. And you run before, you got to be the top one. And he was, depending on what you looked at, he was third, second. He was never first. In some of these polls, he was running a tight third with someone coming up out of fourth place. So, then to go back into Iowa, have to go through door to door, block by block, delegate by delegate, do it all over again. Go raise the money, give up your income at Fox News to go do that. He made the right choice to be with his family and to continue to pursue what he's doing. And in fact, he can have probably much more of an impact on the dialogue going on in the campaign there at Fox News that he could on the campaign trail.
It sounds like such a daunting task, and I guess in this day and age it really is, when you talk about knocking door to door, raising money, giving up your life, essentially. And then Haley Barbour, the governor of Mississippi, when he decided not to run, made a point that, you're going to spend 2 years running, and then if you're successful, you're going to spend 8 years, presuming you get the reelect, in the White House. You give up your life for a decade.
You do. And it takes a special person to do that, whether you like or don't like, for example, Barack Obama or Bill Clinton or George Bush. And these were remarkable, steely men who went through all of that to serve their country, and great respect and admiration for doing that. And it's a tremendous, you give up so much when you run for president of the United States. You run for governor, or even if you run for a county commissioner, you give up a lot. You give up a lot of your personal self. And it's a compromise on your family. It's a compromise on so much of what you do. And to have, and literally it is door-to-door in Iowa because it's a caucus state, and they expect you to come visit them. And it's a very different way of having to do things, and you have to finish in the top three there at least to move on into New Hampshire. And in the meantime, you're building campaigns in other states, and you hope that you do well enough to continue to raise the money to get on TV in other areas of the country. And it is a very difficult thing to do, to put together a campaign and then to run aggressively and ultimately come on top. And don't forget, Mike Huckabee, he won Iowa. He didn't win much after that.
I remember watching, I think this is maybe the first time it really struck me. I remember watching the inaugural of Barack Obama, and then how the family, the very young family, was sitting at the parade, watching the inaugural parade. And then it came time for them to turn and walk into that big White House for the first time, have it being their own house. And I remember thinking, man, when you get in that door, the party's over. You're in. It is definitely a gilded prison, really, because every second of your life is accounted for, and in many cases criticized.
Well, it is, and the same thing. It's into a smaller scale here in Michigan. You look back to Governor Blanchard was put in that glass house with his family and his son, and then you had the Englers and their triplet girls raised there, and then you had Governor Granholm with her children, and now you've got Governor Snyder, and he's chosen a different path, and that probably may be the best path for him. They're staying at home and away from a lot of this, and it isn't easy. And you've got the state you all the time for security reasons and driving you places and telling you when you can go and when you can't go, and you have people keeping your schedule, and you do lose a piece of yourself and a piece of your life, and so it takes special people to do it.
So who now then would you consider to be the favorite for the Republican nomination for president?
Well, everybody, I think, is looking to Governor Romney, although I think that, Romney Care is going to make it very difficult for him to come through the primaries, but I think he's someone there and a Tier 1 candidate. And I think people now are looking to Mitch Daniels from Indiana. I'm a big fan of his. I've known Mitch since he used to sit in edit bays back when he was a chief of staff to Senator Dick Lugar back in the 1970s, and he's an extremely bright man. He's been on the Hill. He knows the Hill. He's been in the White House. He's run twice for governor. He's been a successful businessman at the Eli Lilly. Some people say he doesn't have charisma, but what he does have is a lot of smarts. And I think people are going to look past the flashy finish. They had that a couple of years ago when they picked Obama, and I think they don't like what's under the hood. And I think you go kick the tires of a Mitch Daniels sedan, and I think you're going to like what you see.
Well, there's going to have to be a lot of kicking, isn't there? Because most people, I think, don't know who he is.
Well, they don't. But, most people didn't know who Barack Obama was either. That's why you have a campaign. Because when it's all said and done, then people get to know who you are, and that's what a campaign's for. And but a lot of people in Republican circles know him. They'll get to know him better. When they get to know him, I think they're going to like what he has to say, and I think that's one of the reasons. He and Haley Barbour are very close, and if Haley had run, Mitch wouldn't have run, and Haley chose not to run, so I think that's a signal that Mitch is taking a look at it.
I ran into Mike King, who's the general manager of the NBC affiliate in Lansing on Saturday night. He was on his way to New York for the NBC meetings where they roll out the fall schedule, and The Apprentice, the Celebrity Apprentice, is on the schedule. I don't know if that's an indication that Donald Trump is not going to run for president, but do you expect him to make a serious bid, or is he just playing around with it?
He's a clown. I mean, he's a cartoon. He's running for Emperor of the Universe in his own mind, and I don't think many people are going to take him serious.
Yeah, how many electoral votes do you need to be Emperor of the Universe?
One in his mind, his.
Always great talking to you. Thank you very much for the time this
morning.
You're
welcome. Hey, Michael Patrick, you're pure Michigan.
Thank you very much for that. Boy, that's a big compliment to be pure Michigan. I don't know about the pure part, but certainly the Michigan. Thank you very much. Dan Perot, the American Justice Partnership, with you on a Pure Michigan Monday all across the state of Michigan. Coming up later, we're going to have a space shuttle launch this morning if everything goes well. Stay tuned for that. It'll just be before 9 o'clock Eastern. And we'll go live to Cape Canaveral, too, on this Pure Michigan Monday. Glad to have you with us. Find us online at MichiganTalkNetwork.com. Find us any morning here in the American Metal Roof studio, and you can find them at AmericanMetalRoofs.com and find out how you can save up to 50% on your energy bills, whether you're running the heater like we did this weekend or the air conditioner like we presumably will sometime soon. It's AmericanMetalRoofs.com on a Pure Michigan Monday.